Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be conducting the second interview of my friend Mr. Joseph here from Texas. 2 weeks ago I posted his first interview on my channel. He was here for I think only 7 days at that time when we did the first interview. So I wanted to do another interview to kind of do a follow-up to the first interview to see how he's adjusting to life here in Bangkok. And then we'll do another 6-month interview after this. So Mr. Joseph, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good, man. I'm definitely adjusting very well.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your experience since you've been here in Thailand, primarily Bangkok. I mean, I know you've traveled a little bit around,
Right.
but we haven't really talked about kind of your experiences here in Bangkok yet.
Yeah, well, so far Bangkok's been very happening city. Definitely the place where the most stuff is going on. And it just seems like every night there's something different to do. Someone wants to hang out, someone wants to do something or go somewhere or try a new restaurant or something. So that's the thing that's really amazing to me about Bangkok is that there's just so much to do. Like we were even just talking about going and playing laser tag, right?
Right, yeah.
So laser tag or some go-karts. And it just seems like the options just never end, basically. You know, Bangkok's truly a place, and it was you who made me realize this, but where you can get pretty much anything you want as long as you're willing to pay the right price for it.
Yes. Yeah, Bangkok, I've been trying to tell you guys, is unlike anywhere I've ever been before. You don't have to go very far to do whatever it is you're into. You don't have to go very far for it. I think that's one of the charms of Bangkok is the convenience and availability of pretty much everything and anything you could ever want. How has life in Bangkok for you changed just since our last? And I know it really hasn't been that long. I mean, it's only been 5 weeks or whatever. But how has things changed as opposed to now, as opposed to like when you first got here?
Well, I'm definitely a lot more comfortable going around in public and taking mass transportation. And I definitely understand the subway system a lot better and how to find the stations close to the location I'm trying to go to. You know, when you first arrive here, it's hard even trying to figure out, well, I'm here and I have to go to this station and take that station to this station and then walk from here to there. So, but I feel like I've really got it down. I feel very comfortable navigating around the city, especially.
Right. So you're saying that you're more comfortable here in Bangkok, and that's pretty much what's changed for you, is just kind of being more comfortable here.
Yeah, especially my level of comfort, and I feel like just by being here and becoming more acclimated to everything, that my level of confidence has gone up, and the way that I feel about myself feels a lot better than before.
Right.
Not that I felt bad before, but I definitely felt more out of place. You know, everything was so new and so strange.
Most definitely, and that's how I kind of felt when I got here as well. I was just kind of getting adjusted and getting acclimated to my environment.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the biggest challenge you faced so far since you've lived here in Thailand, not just in Bangkok, but in Thailand in general?
Well, I think especially just kind of figuring out how much stuff really costs, not only because you don't know exactly because they're giving you an inflated price, but even, they say 500 baht or 600 baht, and you kind of are doing the math in your head, but it's still a big adjustment because in many ways it feels like an arbitrary number, but I think I'm starting to really get that grasp on it now, finally.
Yeah, no, that is one of the biggest probably adjustments, or I wouldn't say adjustments, one of the biggest hurdles to getting here is learning the currency conversion and then learning the kind of value of what you're spending your money on, so to know whether or not you should either, and this is something I struggle with, dude. I don't like haggling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it. If somebody gives me a price and I feel like it's a good price, I just pay the price. I'm not one of those people that there's a little switch in their brain like, well, maybe I can get it for cheaper. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that's some scumbag shit, and that's just my personal opinion. Like, these people here are already poor. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have anything, and you're gonna try and haggle them down and save what, 50 cents, a dollar?
Right.
Like, I think it's ridiculous, but that's just the way it is. I completely understand it, but that's not how I do it. I'm just not comfortable with haggling at all.
Yeah, or
at all.
I usually do cash when I do Grab and stuff like that because I get a foreign transaction fee on my normal card. Or I think you have a Thai account, so you're not getting a foreign transaction fee. But like, for example, she was like, "Oh, you shorted me 20 baht." She texted me after the fact, and it's like, I'm not gonna argue with her. I'm just gonna go down and give her the 20.
Right.
Like, there's no point in arguing with these people whatsoever about something so simple.
Right. So as far as your day-to-day life here in Bangkok,
Yeah.
have you found a daily routine or any kind of routine to get settled into to kind of help you out a little bit better here?
Yeah, well, my daily routine is mostly wake up, take a little walk, maybe a mile or two, and then go find some food. So, my big way of discovering things is I like to walk around and just kind of discover things naturally. So, I'm usually walking in total like 6 to 10 miles a day, I want to say.
Wow.
Just wandering around different areas. So yeah, I do like my little 2-mile walk. I find some food cart, I get some food. I go home, I relax for a little bit, prepare for my day, and then usually around 2 or 3 p.m., that's when, miraculously, it's always somebody different too who says like, hey, let's go do this, or, I'll match with a girl online or something, and I'll say, hey, you want to go out for dinner? And so, or another person, my other friend might invite me to go to a Chinese seafood buffet. So it's always just something different, and then it just seems like something always seems to happen. Yeah. So and then I go out, and then usually I get home a little later at night, like 8 or so, something like that, and relax for the rest of the night.
And how has your schedule here changed from your schedule back in the U.S., do you think?
Well, primarily just that I was working all the time. I was driving here, driving there, and my schedule was so tight, whereas, just by the nature of everything, my schedule is so much more free. My life has become so much more relaxed. I can even tell when I talk to like family back home that my mindset and my disposition is totally shifted.
Right, yeah. Daily routine here in Thailand, I mean, anywhere really, if you think about it, is instrumental to any kind of success that you're going to have in life. If you kind of just wake up every day without a plan, without a routine, you're liable to float in any direction and not really have any focus in life. And then a lot of things set in, like depression, restlessness. Your mind kind of wanders. You
get lonely.
Yeah, you don't really have anything that kind of glue you together. And I truly believe that that's what a good routine does for you. It's like the glue that kind of holds together your life and kind of gives you a little bit of direction for sure. So actually routine is extremely important, not only here in Thailand, but I think everywhere else.
And I think that that was a huge mistake of mine in a way, by doing my travel the way I did, going from location to location. Like you got straight into a condo, and that was very smart of you. So it's a lot easier to have like a solid routine when you're not going to a new hotel every 4 or 5, 6 days, right?
Right, yeah. So let's talk about culture shock for a minute here.
Okay.
Have you had any really like moments of culture shock since you've been here in Thailand?
I would say the two main things that were biggest culture shocks for me was, well, so first is that there's almost no graffiti here, right? I mean, you'll see it, but I mean, in my experience, I haven't seen nearly that much graffiti.
I don't know where the fuck you've been at, buddy, but
on all the buildings.
Listen, if you want to see graffiti, I'll go take you. I'll show you some graffiti.
I mean, there's graffiti on like abandoned buildings and highway stuff, but they don't really have them on buildings
Not
like back
in the
home.
tourist areas.
Oh, we'll see.
You've been hanging out in the tourist area, like in the tourist areas where the big, brand new buildings are. They're not going to spray paint on them. You know what I mean? But anywhere else you go here in Thailand, like the graffiti here has been more than anywhere else I've ever been.
Really?
Including Brazil and South America.
Well, maybe that's one of those things I don't remember it correctly, but it seems like there's not I mean, I don't know. I guess the point I was getting to is that things here aren't like smashed and damaged and graffitied as much, at least from what I've seen. You know, I would expect if it was in America for things to just be totally destroyed, basically. And they have all these like ornate decorations that I keep seeing, and you just know that they would get absolutely destroyed back home. So simple things like that, where
you thought the culture shock is this place being a lot cleaner than you thought it would be?
So I knew it was going to be more orderly in its own disorderly way, but again, the fact that they have all these they have these shrines everywhere, and then they have all these little figurines on. The figurines aren't glued down. Yeah. I mean, not that I picked them up to test, but I'm looking at it and I'm pretty sure they're not glued down.
No.
But again, all this stuff would just be gone back home. It would just be totally stolen and destroyed.
One of my big culture shocks since I've been here was when I was in Phuket, and I was walking by this dispensary, and they had all of their pre-rolls, all of their edibles, and jars of marijuana sitting out in front of the shop on a table with nobody there guarding it. So that people could walk by and they could smell and they could look at all the stuff. And it's just like everything here works on the honor system.
Yep.
Like everything here is just pretty much basically based on the honor system. And in the United States, that would never, and not even just the United States. I mean, I say United States because that's where I'm from, and that's where like I have the most experience.
Yeah.
So I can't say well UK or London or anywhere else or Australia, but I know in the United States, there's no honor system. Like
Right.
there's thieves everywhere. You can't leave anything out. You can't leave your phone sitting down and go to the bathroom at a restaurant, because when you come back it will be gone. Same thing with your purse, same thing with your laptop.
Right.
Here in Bangkok or in Thailand in general, you can do those things.
Yeah.
You can leave your laptop out, you can leave your phone out and go to the bathroom and come back and your phone's still gonna be there.
Yeah, you could. I feel pretty confident, you know, that you could even get pretty drunk and fall asleep on the sidewalk, and your money's probably going to be there when you wake up.
It's still gonna be in your pocket when you wake up.
Yeah.
And you're still gonna have your shoes on.
Yeah. And
You
your
fall
phone.
asleep in the US, you'll wake up in your underwear if they couldn't get those off of you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move on. Have you made any new friends or connections since you've been here in Thailand? Because I know that we were talking the other day, and a lot of people just come and go from Thailand. There's like just a lot of transient people here. They come on vacation, they stay for a few weeks, a month, and then they go back, you know, they go back to their country and they tell stories about that one time they were in Bangkok for a few weeks, standing around drinking beers with their buddies in some garage in some shithole in the Midwest.
They still tell that story till they die.
Yeah, they tell their Thailand stories. So a lot of people here are just transient. How many friends have you made, and what kind of connections kind of have you made since you've been here? And have you kind of seen that it is basically like a transient culture?
Yeah, definitely transient amongst Westerners for sure, and people that I've kind of connected with. Me and you, I think, are the only people who are really planning to stay here long term. But I have met some other like full-time travelers, but they're not going to stay in Thailand for a long time. But yeah, I mean, everyone's been really friendly. Even I met somebody on the plane ride over here, an Indian gentleman. I met some European guys over in Khao Sok. I think I pronounced that place correctly. Khao Sok. But yeah, I met some really cool people, and even the Dutch guy, he's going to come over. He's going to hang out with me at my Airbnb over here for a little while too. So yeah, it's been kind of nice. Everyone's very friendly. I really appreciate that part. But yeah, definitely everyone's in transit from one location to another. Not many people who are foreigners are planning to settle down here.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a very transient state of affairs out here.
Right. And they live their life like that too. I mean, they're partying up, they're throwing cash around. That's kind of what they came here to do.
Right. So you've been hanging out in Bangkok for a while now, and
Yep.
what do you think? What's your favorite place to kind of hang out while you're here in Bangkok?
Well, man, I really like Terminal 21. That's a really nice area. I mean, there's so many options for food and clothes and all sorts of stuff, shopping. I also really like the Sukhumvit area.
Sukhumvit, yeah.
Sukhumvit, yeah. Again, there's just a lot of really interesting stuff there. And honestly, I just like walking around the streets and stuff and seeing all the night markets. That's one of the most fascinating things to me. Not even necessarily seeing the really fancy malls and the fancy things, but also seeing the simple street vendor type things.
Right. And you said you're not really a partier. You're not really into the red light district scene and all that stuff like that. So, yeah, you and I are two completely different birds. Absolutely, for sure.
We have different ways of dealing with our trauma, right?
Like honestly, I didn't come here to check out temples and go to night markets and festivals and stuff. I came here for the red light district and the women, and all of the other debauchery and wildness that is Bangkok. Now, eventually I will get out and see the temples, and I've been to the markets. I've been to, Jod Fair, I've been to Klong Toi. We did videos on that. So I have, checked out the culture and the society, but listen, there's no shame in my game. I'm at least completely honest about why I came out here. No, honestly, I am.
Yeah,
I'm completely honest. I don't give a shite. I'm completely honest.
Yeah. It's just, that stuff's just not really my thing. I think, especially because I have my Crohn's disease like you do, but it sounds like mine's a little bit more severe.
Yeah.
So, alcohol really doesn't mix with me. So, I can do it every couple months, but, too much more than that, it's going to make my health fall apart.
It definitely takes its toll on you. It doesn't matter Crohn's or no Crohn's. Dude, if you go out and get drunk every day, you're going to feel like shit. Yeah. Period. Like alcohol just completely destroys your body.
Yeah. And so, it's just a good way to go broke fast. So I'm trying to enjoy my money and enjoy my stay.
So let's talk about real quick the other parts of Thailand you've kind of visited,
Yeah.
and so like so how long were you here? You were here for what, a week, and then you left Bangkok and went where?
Yeah, so I did 2 weeks in Bangkok,
2 weeks, that's right.
and then I went to Phuket.
Yes.
So to Patong Beach for 4 days there.
And how was that?
So it was. I mean, I enjoyed the beach especially, but again, you know, that's more of a party town than this is. That's great. That's
Phuket?
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when I was right there at the beach and everything.
Yeah.
I was right in the heart of it all. I mean, I couldn't even leave my hotel without girls harassing me. You know?
No, well, that's how it is.
Yeah.
How it is. And you didn't stay in Old Town.
No, I didn't. So for me, that was definitely not my type of town.
Right.
But you know, again, during the day, I go down to the beach. I was taking nice long walks. I mean, I love the beach, so I was going swimming in the ocean, you know, twice a day. So yeah, I mean, it was a nice place, but definitely not my type of city. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's definitely beautiful.
What'd you think about Old Town?
Old Town was okay. It was simple.
What'd you do out in Old Town? Did you go to any restaurants, or did you just walk around, or what'd you do?
No, so I actually ended up getting food poisoning while I was down there.
That's right.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny. I wonder what it was, because you know, I think what it might have been is, so I've been told at least, that the spicy food in the South is harder on foreigner stomachs than the spicy food in the North.
Gotcha.
I didn't know such a thing until I got so sick, but that's what local had told me after the fact.
Well, I avoid the spicy food anywhere I go here. Anyway, dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I barely made it out of that hotel, man. I was throwing up all over the place. It was, I mean, not in the hotel, but you know, I was like throwing up in the street and stuff. It was bad.
And that's one of the things that, like, I was absolutely terrified about coming out here. Is I thought for sure that I was going to get sick from the food, because the food in the US makes me super sick. Like, I get sick, I got either food poisoning or I was just completely sick from food at least once a month in the US. And since I've been here, I haven't even had so much as a bellyache. You know what I mean? I haven't had a bellyache. I haven't had any kind of food poisoning or anything like that. No, not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so I mean, I think that, you know, it was also kind of expensive down on Patong Beach, I felt like, for what I was getting.
It's a tourist town. It's all the price. It's going to be 30%, you know, more expensive than probably a lot of the other parts of not just Thailand, but Bangkok as well.
But I felt like it was part of the experience, so it was good to see it. So then, yeah, so I spent 5 days there, and then I went up to Koh Sok. And I spent like 6 days there, I think it was, something like that. Two different locations.
Right.
So I stayed at this farm. I don't know, it didn't seem like much of a farm to me, but there was a hotel that they had built. I mean, not like a hotel, it's like an Airbnb.
Well, I think when you think farm, you think of like American farms with a big red barn and chickens and cows and all that shit. Farm has very different meanings here in Thailand. They'll tell you it's a farm, and you go and it's just a house and a field.
Yes.
It's just a field where they harvest whatever crop, and then there's just a house, and then maybe like a quarters for somebody to live in.
Right.
Yeah.
We're thinking more of like a professional farmer versus,
well, you know, American farms are agricultural. You know, they're giants. You know, they got, you know, 500 heads of cattle. They've got, you know, yes, they're huge. They're huge businesses with big giant grain silos and what are those combines that, you know, harvest the corn. Yeah, they don't. That's not.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting hanging out there, and I met that particular place had a work stay program, which I wasn't part of, but there were some younger people there who were doing their work stay program, some Europeans. That's where I met the Dutch guy, and I met my German friend Leon. So yeah, it was really cool to be there. That was actually the part about being there that I enjoyed the most, is that since we were just kind of stuck on this farm together, we actually got to spend time together. And I got my first motorbike lesson at that farm from Joris, the Dutch guy.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, because I had never ridden anything with a motor and 2 wheels before in my life. I've ridden bikes and, you know, rollerbladed and do those kinds of things, but never a motorbike or a dirt bike, no Harleys, no nothing like that, you know?
Right.
So that was good to get my feet wet. I spent like one day there just kind of riding in a very simple circle, you know, maybe a whole mile in total's radius. I must have ridden it like 10 or 12 times, just, you know, faster and just kind of getting the hold of the bike. Right.
So you've been experimenting with the motorbikes.
Yeah, I love the motorbike, man. That thing is so cool.
Yeah, they're fun, for sure. They're fun. I'm definitely going to buy one.
Yeah, and then after Koh Sok, I spent another 5 days, and I went to Koh Samui. and I spent 5 days there. And
Talk about that for a minute.
yeah, so Koh Samui was definitely, I would say, if there was a place I was going to live besides Bangkok, I would say Koh Samui would be it.
Right.
The thing I really liked is it's very, a lot of nature, and there is traffic, but it's not like Bangkok traffic. It's much more manageable feeling. I don't know if I'm ready to ride a bike here without more practice, but over there I was doing pretty good on the bike. Right. And I could just go up to, ride up to the mountain and go jump in some waterfalls. I was jumping in all these different waterfalls up there. It's beautiful. It's definitely more touristy. Yeah. So a lot more tourists, lots and lots of Europeans, which is, not a problem for me. But if you're, again, looking to be surrounded by Thai people, I had never seen so many non-Thai people the entire time I've been
Just
here.
my personal opinion, I feel like you would be better off in a place like Koh Samui or Koh Samet or Phuket, or one of those places in the south, one of the islands where you, like you said, you can go and jump in the waterfalls and play in the jungle and ride the motorbike. Because I know you like it here in Bangkok, but I don't think Bangkok's for you. I know, and I'm just being honest. I really don't. I don't. That's just my personal opinion. But I think you would be more happier in some place like that, and then maybe coming and visiting Bangkok occasionally just to kind of get a break. Whereas more like I have to live in a place like Bangkok, and I would take a break from Bangkok to go hang out in Koh Samui or something like that. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where we are. We're kind of opposites like that in that respect.
We're very similar and very different in so many ways. Yeah. But yeah, so I really liked it there. Definitely was like the surfer guy, spring break vibes there. Right. And everything was reasonably priced, I felt like, much more so than like Patong, for example. Right.
Let's talk about finances for a little bit, because I know this is one of the topics that almost everyone is always interested in when they either do research on Thailand or they want to talk to somebody who lives here. Right. So how has your financial situation been adjusting to life in Thailand?
Yeah, I definitely say that it's cheaper to live in Thailand than in Texas, that's for sure. But I would say the biggest part is, again, kind of adjusting to the currency exchange. So sometimes, you don't even really realize how much you're paying for certain things, or you may even think that they're the right price, but you come to learn that you're getting charged a lot more after the fact. So my finances have been pretty good, honestly. I have a pretty good passive income, so that's not a big problem for me. But it definitely ended up costing more than I thought it was going to. Right. But I think the main mistake I made was that I keep going from hotel to hotel to hotel, and I probably spent as much.
Well, Airbnbs, really.
Yeah, Airbnbs, and so honestly, if I had just kind of got set up in a place like this, I bet you I would have spent about the same amount as I've spent so far in a month.
Yeah, bouncing around, traveling here, doing Airbnbs, and then not really being stationary in one place will cost you more. But will definitely, your finances will be a little bit higher than, say, whereas like me, I came here and I got a condo right away, and then I kind of use this as my jump off point to go wherever I'm going to go for 5 days here, 5 days there, five days wherever. And I find that I save a lot more money doing that than kind of just doing the Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb, for sure.
Yeah, I really didn't know what I was doing, so that was a big mistake of mine. But it's one of those things you live and you learn. Certainly, when I come back after I make my trip to the Philippines, and even when I make my trip to the Philippines, then come back here. Each place I'm just going to pick up an apartment or a condo or something. Right. I'm not even going to bother with the whole Airbnb thing. But again, I didn't know what I was doing, and you live and you learn, right?
Right. Yeah. No,
at least I got to see a lot of Thai. I've seen more of Thailand than most of the Thai people have. It seems like so. Yeah. That was the goal, I guess.
Absolutely. Now you can probably get settled in somewhere once you've kind of been everywhere you're going to go.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk a little bit about dating and relationships. Have you started dating, or have you met anyone special, since you've moved here? Like, what kind of experience have you had in that arena?
Yeah, so I would say definitely, start trying. I think everyone does that. Like the day you land, you start downloading stuff and trying to talk to people, right? Absolutely. If not beforehand.
Oh, I did it 6 months before I got here.
Yeah, I just waited till I actually landed here to start doing it. But it was pretty easy, to talk to people and to get people to come and meet up with me. I haven't really met anyone really special. The only person who I was actually very interested in, I'm not sure if she was weirded out by me being so interested in her, because we had only known each other for so long. Because I was here for 2 weeks, right? And then I was going to go travel, so I kind of made my interest known to her after the end of 2 weeks. Like, hey, I'm going to be back. I'd like to kind of continue this thing. And I don't know if, for example, she got weirded out, or maybe she thought I was lying to her. I'm sure these girls get lied to by foreigners all the time. Like, oh, I'll be back, and I'll do this, and so I feel like it's been a little strange, but only again because I'm not settled here, and I think that the girls are maybe a little wary of me.
Right.
Right. I mean, there's definitely like the casual thing, sure. But that's not really my style.
It's not hard to get laid here in Thailand.
No,
is what
it's not.
That's what he's saying. No, it's not. It's not hard to find a girl, bring her back to your place. She'll sleep with you. She'll hang out for a couple days, and then she'll go on about her business. It's more difficult to find a steady relationship here in Thailand. Damn near impossible, really. Just because of I don't know what it is. I mean, why they're like that or why it's like that. I think because, like I said, we were talking about earlier, that there's just a transient nature of a lot of people who come to Thailand, and that's not just a recent thing. I mean, that's something that's been going on for
80 years.
80 years.
Yeah.
Since like the 1950s or 1960s, since like World War I or World War II. So I think 80 years of that have just kind of, I don't want to say trained or manipulated, but the people here have just gotten used to people coming and going. So it's it's a lot more difficult for them to kind of latch on to somebody when they don't know if you're going to leave and go back to your country or not. And I think they grow up kind of with that, and that's just why they are the way they are.
And I mean, we don't know all the stories that these people have, these girls especially have, but I'm sure that there's even people who end up with a guy for 3 years, and he's like, well, I'm going to live here forever, and then he just decides one day, like, hey, I'm going home.
Absolutely.
Right. So I imagine in my mind that they're extra wary when dealing with someone who looks like me or you, or who's not a native here, simply because I'm sure they have hundreds of stories amongst their friends of this kind of stuff happening.
Right.
So I can only imagine.
How has Thailand changed your perspective on dating as opposed to like in Western culture?
Well, I mean, I'd say dating seems fairly the same here as far as how the actual courting process goes, I want to say. I mean, I think the frequency of being able to date is significantly greater here. I mean, if I was looking online back home, I'd get like maybe, I remember I barely got one match on Bumble one time, and it ended up being this like really fat chick, and I was just like, oh God, like this is like the only even match I even got in like a month. And I'm like tall and I work out and stuff. But then here, you're getting 25, 30, 50 messages sometimes a day.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different pace, and then therefore, you get to go through the situation quicker and find people you like, or find people you can hook up with,
right.
And who are looking for what you're looking for. So it's definitely a lot different, but I would say that, the courting process is relatively the same. You take them out, you end up paying for some things. I mean, when I took my girl out in Texas, I usually paid for the most expensive things anyways. Like, so it's not any different as far as I can tell.
So you've been on, how many dates you think you've been on since you've been here?
12?
12 dates in 6 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. And has there been any kind of like, I don't know, I would say funny or surprising dating experiences, or like things that were different that you didn't expect?
Well, I would say like this. I went on this date with this girl actually 2 days ago, and one thing that really surprised me was that, well, first off, she looked a lot different in her pictures, which isn't all that abnormal. I mean, but I think, but the thing is, she was wearing like this, like almost like a kid's clothing. It was like, looked like she was an 8-year-old, or dressed like an 8-year-old or something. But
you showed me the picture. She was wearing like, I mean, listen, the styles are different over here in Bangkok. She was wearing like some Oshkosh Pagash corduroy overalls with like a pink frilly shirt that you're right, like something that probably an 8 or 9-year-old would wear.
Seriously. So it was really, in her profile picture, she had like these club photos where she's like in a one-piece and a tube, one piece. And so it was kind of like surprising to me. And that was that took me back a little bit. And then the other thing too is, I don't know, maybe you've had this experience, but maybe it's all the people telling you about like all the lady boys, but sometimes I have that moment where I'm like, is this a man? Am I talking to a man right now? do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So you almost like, I'm wondering where this is going. But so those have been the only real awkward things. But no, I mean, most of the girls who have gone out on dates with me, they speak English or relatively good enough. I have had to use the translating app a few times. Personally, if we have to use the translator too much, like I don't really enjoy that.
Really?
If we're talking through the translator, I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of over this.
Really? I'm the opposite.
We're the opposite.
I'm the opposite. Like I almost hope they don't speak a single word of English. And I'm just being real. I almost prefer that. I almost prefer that because there's just less headache that way. If she's gonna curse you out, then she's gonna curse you out using the translator, and I'm fine with that.
Just like later,
yeah,
right?
No, I'm the opposite.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's like we went out to dinner. It's awkward if I'm just sitting there or we're translating over. It just feels strange.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's one of those things that comes with time and experience.
It definitely does. You get over that.
But I'm used to everyone understanding me back home. So.
Yeah. Okay. Expectation versus reality. Looking back, do you think living in Bangkok is what you expected?
Yes and no. I would say yes, actually. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, there's been lots of surprises, lots of things I wasn't prepared for. I mean, I came halfway across the world, but ultimately, I think maybe it's just the globalization of the world, but everything's more or less done the same way here as it. I mean, you go, and I went and looked at a condo over in Surat Thani when I was going through there, and it was the same process as if I was looking at a condo back home. A lady came out, she was talking to me, she had her forms, like, it's pretty much all the same. It's just it's wrapped differently. And then certainly, like what we were talking about with my friend when we went out to dinner, about how it's like in the US, it's like they went out of their way to just do everything opposite from the rest of the world. So I kind of knew that. I traveled a bunch when I was younger, and so I kind of already had that concept in my mind. So that wasn't too big of a shock for me, just understanding that it's almost just totally inverse of everything I'm used to.
Right. Do you think there's anything you thought would be kind of easy but turned out to be difficult since you've been here?
Easy but turned out to be difficult. I
mean, obviously, I think yesterday you said that the walking, like the traffic.
Yeah.
Navigating the traffic.
Yeah, so it's definitely like playing Frogger when you're crossing the road here, and I expected it to be, I guess in my mind, right, we're defensive drivers, right? We always think like, well, if this person's going to be crazy, I'm just going to stop and let them go. Well, that will most definitely never give you a chance to go anywhere in Bangkok.
No, pedestrians do not have the right of way here.
Right.
If you're in the crosswalk, they won't stop for you. They'll go run right through the crosswalk with you in it.
Right. You have to put your hand out and like make eye contact with them.
Yeah.
That's the trick. Like, oh, stop.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then usually they'll stop. But the more you do it, the more, and I think part of it is just because it keeps flowing, that when you're used to it stopping, you're kind of like waiting for your opportunity. But in reality here, you just kind of like flow through it, and you see your opening. You're like, well, I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to get through this, past this person. And a big trick you taught me is if the Thai are doing it, you're usually just tag along with them, So like even when I was doing the motorbike, when I was trying to turn across lanes, I would just wait for another car to turn. I'd get next to them and just go with them because they can tell a lot better than I can, right?
That's it. You just do what the locals do, for sure.
Just follow them. Just tag along with them if you're not sure.
Yeah. All right, man. So you're 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
And what do you have a trip coming up to the Philippines?
Yep, for 50 days.
For 50 days?
50 days, man.
So you may not even come back to Thailand. You may choose to live in the Philippines.
That's possible, but
you don't know because you haven't been there yet. You might get there and be like, you know what, this is for me. I like Bangkok, I like Thailand, but you know what? I like it better here.
It's very possible.
Because you don't know yet.
That's true.
You don't know yet.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard some wild stories out of the Philippines, so.
Yeah. But who knows what's true and what isn't?
Right.
Who knows what's reality until you get there?
Right. Well, so that's, the main reason I chose Thailand is because of the safety and the, ease of exchange of everything. And the infrastructure is really good here. Transportation is really good here. So we'll see if the Philippines can compare,
Right.
Honestly, I'm hoping to also maybe check out Japan and South Korea at some point here, too. Gotcha. I think Japan's the next major one, and then South Korea's up there, too.
Gotcha. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. I want to do another interview with you in 6 months, depending on where you are. Even if you're in the Philippines, I'll probably come over to the Philippines and we'll do an interview after 6 months. But we'll see where you are and see what you're doing. But what's one piece of advice you'd give someone that's thinking about moving here to Thailand?
Man, make sure you have someone that you connect with, even if you don't know them like in person, but you can find all sorts of people online, and make sure that you have someone that within hopefully the first few days that you get here, that you can meet up with them and they can just kind of give you some basic information as to how to move around. It's going to take you so long to absorb all that information, a couple weeks at least. But like you did for me, John, where you're like, oh, hey, you got to get Grab, you got to do it this way. You just kind of taught me all the some of the basic skills, and it just helped me understand everything so much better and move my process along so I could be much more independent so quickly.
Absolutely.
So that was very pivotal. And even like, I wish I had gotten together with you before to tell me things like, hey, just get a condo, just set up in a condo. All these things would have saved me so much time and money.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, thank you for doing the second interview here. I genuinely appreciate it. We're going to talk to Joe again in 6 months and see where you're at, and we'll have a good 3 interviews in, and we'll kind of log your journey, your traveling journey as leaving home from Texas, coming over here to Southeast Asia, and experiencing it for yourself. I tell a lot of people that everybody's journey is different. Everybody's path is different that comes over here. We all do different things. We all stay in different places for different amount of times, and everybody's journey is their own. So thank you for coming. I genuinely So thank you for coming. Thank you for doing the interview. I genuinely appreciate it, buddy. We're going to talk to you in 6 months, and we're going to see how you're doing.
Sounds good, man. And I really appreciate you too, John.
Absolutely, no problem. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. I see I have a lot of new subscribers here on the channel. I just want to say thank you. I genuinely appreciate it. This is probably going to be the format from here on out. I might squeeze a few vlogs in here or there, but I'm working primarily on getting you guys more interviews and building a studio here in Bangkok to do longer interviews in a more professional kind of environment. So thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss out on any of my future content. I genuinely appreciate you guys 100%, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.